Is the book The 48 Laws of Power about deception, manipulation, intimidation? Some might think so, but I beg to differ. I see it as a book on leadership. Let's dive in. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Glastinne, your leadership coach. And on this episode, we're going to talk about the 48 Laws of Power and how the laws relate to leadership. I know some people think that this is a book on manipulation, on, tactics to hurt people, to sabotage people's careers. But like any tool, it's the way you use it. And this is a book that in the wrong hands, it can be a dangerous book. In the wrong hands of a novice or someone that's of that character, that someone of that manipulative character or deceptive character, they can use this book for ill will, let's say. But at the same time, someone with a good heart, someone with a heart for leadership, servant leadership, like I am, someone who's out to do some good, to learn, how to play the game without manipulating people, you can very well use this book, the 48 Laws of Power. And I will put the link in the description. Just to give you a short story, I was at the library and this young woman was picked up the 48 Laws of Power. And I'm like, hey, that's a great book. And this other woman, customer, just came out of nowhere and was like, why would you tell that young lady that that's a great book? That book causes so much evil in this world. They ought to lock up the person who wrote that book. And I just sat there and I was like, I'm thank you for sharing your opinion. And I moved along. I just left her there talking to the young lady, and she was just talking about how negative the book was. But my thing, this book by Robert Greene, it was published in 1998. And I had an opportunity to read this book in 2005. And at first I didn't understand it. But when I started to read it, I started to read The Art of War by Sun Tzu. At that time, I was trying to understand myself and I was trying to understand the world. I was coming out of Liberty City, grew up in the rough side of the neighborhood. And so I was trying to get some understanding. But as the years went by and I really started to, delve into some self work, working on myself, some self-development work. That's when I started to really appreciate the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. So I just want to caution anyone, before you judge this book, make sure that you're not looking at it from a superficial level. Because if you're going to just pick up this book and read it as face value, yeah, it can be very, it can be, this can be a scary book. But if you're someone that's on that development path, that self-development path, this can be the book that changes your life. And like I said, it's like any tool. You can use it for negativity. You can use it for good. This video, I'm putting out this video raw when I do upload it into YouTube. And I hope you find this information valuable, because we're going to look at each law from the perspective of leadership. And that's specifically servant leadership. And some of you are like, wow, I wonder how he's going to pull that off. Well, let's dive in. All right. Law number 1 says, never outshine the master. I got a few notes here, and I'm just going to hit a couple of points. One of the things that you have to understand as a leader is that everyone is your master. Your customers, your clients, your teammates, everyone is your master. You are the servant. You are there to serve them. And you have to understand that you have to allow people to shine. I mean, we know that you're the leader. We know that you can do some incredible things, but there are times that you just have to let people shine. There are times when, in my leadership position, I'm sitting way in the back like a wallflower, and I'm allowing my other teammates with different skills and creativity to get up front and show their talents in front of, brigadier generals or colonels, because I work in the government space. So never outshine your master. Remember that everyone, when you're a leader, everyone is your master, because you are there to serve everyone. People are not there to serve you. You are there to serve everyone else. And when you're speaking about, your clients or your customers, people that opt into your program, people that take your courses, if you're an entrepreneur, people that are paying you money for coaching, you want to let those people shine. You want to let those people shine in the Zoom call. You want to talk about their successes. Allow people to shine. That's law number 1. Law number 2, never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use your enemies. Man, I had to learn this law the hard way. You never put too much trust in friends. And what does that mean? Does that mean that you don't trust your friends? As a leader, you have to understand the difference between your friends and a professional environment. When you were part of that team, you develop relationships with each person. And now that you've been promoted to a leadership position, those friend dynamics, they kind of change. You can't be at the water cooler talking about whatever to your friend, or you can't show him or her favoritism because people start getting jealous. It's happened to me. I had a great friend of mine. He's still my best friend, one of my best friends. And he worked with me, and unbeknownst to me, I was showing him a lot of favoritism because he was my lead. He was the one that I go to, and people were the rest of my team was getting offended by that. And I didn't even know that until they brought that to my attention. And I put a stop to it immediately. I mean, we only had certain conversations, outside at lunchtime or whatever. And so you want to be careful with your relationship with friends, especially when you're the lead. You don't want to show favoritism. You don't want to ostracize anyone. You don't want to seem like, this person get the best task, and this other person always feels that they get the they get the worst task. They get the short end of the stick. So that's law number 2. Law number 3, conceal your intentions. What does that mean? As a leader, you want to be very clear. You want to be very clear and to the point. You want to cast the vision, and without any fluff. You want to be clear when you speak. You want to include your teammates on different milestones. You know, when you're planning it out, and you want to focus on each milestone one at a time. You know, you don't want to barrage people with with the whole picture. You want to give it to them in pieces and doses. And that's what law number 3 is talking about from my interpretation as a leader. Law number 4, always say less than necessary. Always say less than necessary. The power is action, not talking. Always say less than necessary. The power is action, not talking. I think those are wise words. I mean, you don't want to be the type of leader that's known to just talk a lot. You know, you talk a good game, but you never produce the results. That talk is never backed up by results. You want to be known as the type of leader that produces results. You want to be the type of leader that develop other leaders. So you don't want to be known for talking a lot. You want to be known for results. Law number 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. That right there is good advice. I mean, your reputation as a leader is everything. No matter where you go in life, the one thing that's going to follow you is your reputation. You may think just because you move to another city, or you move to another country and you take up a leadership position, or you work for a certain company, or you go do some entrepreneurial business somewhere else, you'll find out very quickly that this world is a very small world, and like-minded people hang around those same pockets of other like-minded people. So guard your reputation. You know, it is worth it. Law number 6, court attention at all costs. Remember the wallflower. Okay, court attention at all costs. Number 6, court attention at all costs. Be that type of person. Be that type of leader that stands out. I mean, and how do you stand out? Your appearance. Don't blend in. Don't blend in. I mean, in my space, in the government space, I always wear a suit. And it's not required. But I always wear a suit because my desk is just a few feet away from the client. So I want to show my best self. I want to identify myself as that person. If something comes up and we have to meet, we have to go meet the CEO, or go meet a general, or go meet someone in a higher office, go to the Pentagon or something, I'm always dressed and I'm always ready. So it's not, sometimes I just have to do is throw on my jacket because I'm already, suited and booted, shirt and tie. So I'm always standing out. And, if I'm in the back, even if I'm in the back, you can kind of tell who I am, because I give off those vibes. I mean, because I'm always suited. I'm always introducing myself to people. I'm always shaking hands. I'm always talking, trying to get to know someone. I'm always networking with people, So that's what that means. Court attention at all costs. Law number 7, get others to do the work, but take all the credit. Get others to do the work. Surround yourself, as a leader, surround yourself with very smart people on your team. You gotta surround yourself with very smart people on your team, people that are smarter than you, people that have skills that you don't have. You bring them along and you help them. You deliver the resources. As a leader, you provide the resources that they need to accomplish a certain task. And when they accomplish that, when everyone as a team, because you're always part of a team, you're never alone, and you deliver that product to the client or to the customer, that customer or that client remembers you. That customer or that client doesn't say, oh, it was a team effort. Now, as a leader, when you're being recognized for accomplishing it, that task or that deliverable, now it's your opportunity to give accolades to your team. Hey, you know what? I would love to take all the credit, but this was a team effort. But what this law is talking about is understanding that your customers, your clients will see you as the one that produces the product. It's just like we think about Napoleon, or we think about Washington. Some George Washington, some other Toussaint Louverture, some other great generals. We remember those leaders, but we don't remember that they were part of a team. That's all that law is saying. Law number 8, make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. This is a funny one. Make other people come to you. How do you make other people come to you? You are that type of leader that's easy to talk to. You're that type of leader that cares about people. You're that type of leader that visits, your teammates. When they're in the hospital, you go visit, you bring flowers. You're that type of leader that's able to let your hair down, that have happy hours, that's able to just relax when it's time to relax. You're that type of leader with that open door policy that people can talk to. And when you're like that, you become attractive to other people. And that's how you make people come to you. That's the bait you use. Charm, charisma, likability, that's the bait. Law number 9, win through your actions, never through argument. Never, 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 as a leader, argue with the client or your teammates, especially with the client or the customer. Never argue. Stephen Covey said, seek first to understand. Always seek first to understand. Always make sure you walk away from that conversation or from that heated discussion with your teammates. Make sure it's win-win. But never argue. As a leader, take that type of behavior out of your toolbox. Don't argue with people. Have discussions with people. Talk to people. Put yourself in their shoes. That's what leaders do. Law number 10. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Now, you guys know that misery loves company. Misery loves company. All this is saying is that you want to be around positive, like-minded people. You want to build your team with people that are positive, people that are like-minded, people that are ready to go. You're going to have probably a couple of slackers in the group, but you want to learn as a leader. That's a good thing because you want to learn how to develop those slackers into performers. That's what you want to do. So don't get upset, but avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. That's what all that means is that you want to be around positive people, like-minded people, people that are going somewhere, people that are ambitious, people that want to do great work in the world, people that love life, people that love their work. That's the kind of people you want to be around. Law number 11, learn to keep people dependent on you. You know, I'm going to read you something by Nightingale. He said, the amount of money we receive will always be in direct ratio to demand for what we do, our ability to do it, and the difficulty in replacing us. Let me read that again. The amount of money we receive will always be in direct ratio to the demand for what we do, our ability to do it, and the difficulty in replacing us. How do you keep people dependent on you? Law number 11, be unique. Be unique. Never let them kind of peg you and say, this is what he or his team is going to deliver. Always outdo yourself. Always. It's like, I remember like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was the king because he always brought something new. I mean, you knew that album that he produced was going to be so much superior than the last album. So people were just standing in line for his albums. Look it up on YouTube. I mean, so you always want to have that type of quality, that type of mindset. You always want to be unique. You always want to produce deliverables or classes or courses or whatever you're delivering to your clients and your customers. You always want it to be of superior quality. Law number 12, use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Don't get caught up in these words like victim and all that stuff. And I'm going to show you why at the end not to get caught up in these words, because even the 48 laws of power, the book explains itself. But if you're not looking into it, if you're just looking at a superficial level, you're not going to see it. And I will show that to you. Use selective language. Be honest and generous with your compliments. Be honest. Be honest and generous with your compliments. Be interested in people. That's how you use selective honesty and generosity to disarm people. Be genuinely interested in people. Be genuinely compassionate. Be genuinely sympathetic to people. Understand people. Learn to understand people. Learn about people. Learn about your teammates. Where do they go to college? Where do they family live? What do they like? What are their goals and ambitions? Learn about people. Be genuinely interested in people. That's what that law is talking about. Law number 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. Go into every engagement with people with a win-win attitude. When you go with that type of attitude to your teammates, to your customers, to your clients, to your family members, to a friend, when they understand that you're coming from that space of win-win, they are so much more willing to help you do whatever you want them to do. Be interested in people. Be interested in their stories. I mean, genuinely interested. I'm not talking about that shallow stuff just to trying to get what you want. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about developing that type of character to be really interested in people, knowing people. That's what that law means. Law number 14, pose as a friend, work as a spy. Law number 14, pose as a friend, work as a spy. Here's what that means. You must listen, must be very attentive. Like when you're in certain situations or network situations, listen to what people are saying about your department. Listen to what people are saying about your team. Listen to what people are saying, even when you're joking around and everything, but listen to what people are saying about your product and your services. Listen to what people are saying about your social media platforms. You know, what are they saying about you on YouTube? What are they saying about your book? What are the reviews saying? Listen, because as you're listening to what people are saying about you and your team or your product, you get valuable insight on what to offer them next. That's all that law means. When you're chilling, when you're around people in those networking, listen to what people are saying about you, and always have an open door policy where people can come in and talk to you. You know, so law number 15. Oh, you're gonna love this one. Crush your enemies totally. There are, you have to understand, as a leader, you have to understand that there are people that aren't just good for you. They're just not good for you. And you have to understand when you have to cut people loose. Like when I was growing up in my neighborhood, you know, all my friends were, you know, gang members and, you know, doing certain things in the streets and stuff. And when I made up my mind that I wanted to go in a different direction, I had to cut people off. I mean, I don't mean cut them off like, you know, I don't hang with them as much. I mean, I totally cut them off. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't hang out. I wasn't seen with them. I was just totally alone. I had to cut them out totally. And sometimes in our lives, in order for us to get to that next level, we got to cut out some things. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's an eating habit. Maybe it's something, you know, our spending habits. We just have to just cut some things off, you know, totally. You know, anything could be perceived as an enemy. If you're spending too much, if you're spending too much money, if you have more months than money at the end of the month, you got to go and check out your balance sheet and see where you're spending that money and cut that off. Whatever you're spending that money on, cut it out. Stop. That is your enemy. You know, your spending habit is your enemy. You know, whatever you're spending it on, whatever you're putting in your mouth that's causing you to become unhealthy, that becomes your enemy and you need to cut it off. That's all that law is saying. Law number 16, use absence to increase respect and honor. As a leader, you have to understand that People are very creative and people are very resourceful. And you have to allow them to become the person who they truly are. What do I mean by that? When you're leading people and you've given them a task and they come to you for some help, you don't give them the answer. You allow them to figure it out. There are times when you will need to, I mean, especially if it's a quick turnaround, there are times when you probably will need to just, be like, okay, here's how you do this or whatever. But most of the time, you want to allow them to figure it out, because that's how people grow. If they come to you for answers all the time and you're giving them answers all the time, first of all, they start taking you for granted. And next thing you know, and then second of all, they stop using their own creativity and their own talents because they're depending on your creativity and your talents to solve the problem. So law number 16, use absence to increase respect and honor. That's one of the ways that you do that. You don't have to be at every meeting. Let your team and your leads handle that. You're an entrepreneur. Let some of your team members, handle, some of your clients, some of your discovery calls, because you're trying to develop leaders. And when you come on the scene, you're much more appreciated. You're much more appreciated when you come on the scene, when you're helping out, or when you're just diving in and saying, okay, let's go ahead and do this together, because we gotta turn this in. We gotta deliver this tomorrow, and everyone gets fired up because you're not always that person. You're always there to help, but you're there most of the time to help them figure it out. So when you come in and you're in it with them and you're like, okay, let's do this, people are much more appreciative that you're around. Law number 17, keep others in suspense, terror, cultivate an air of unpredictability. Again, Michael Jackson had his songs. I mean, he just had every song was just better than the last song. Every album was just better than the last album. I mean, he was just unpredictable. You could not say, oh, that album is going to be like this year. No, you couldn't figure it out. We need to be that kind of person that, you never know. Like for me, for instance, I'm known to ask great questions, right? So when I'm in a meeting, people never know what I'm going to say or what I'm going to ask. But after the meeting, I always get an attaboy, because I come up with these questions because I'm really interested in what the presenter had to say. I'm really listening because I'm taking notes, because this might help me, in delivering a product for my client. This might help me help a team member. This might help me help a family member. I don't know when I can use this. This might help me when on my business. So I'm always asking deep, penetrating questions, and people love that because they know you're listening. So keep others in suspense, cultivate an air of unpredictability. Law number 18, do not build fortresses to protect yourself in isolation is dangerous. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. No man is an island. No woman is an island. You need to get out there, make some friends, make some allies. You cannot win at this corporate game being a one-man show. I don't care how productive you are. I just had a great conversation with my friend, leadership coach, Veronica. And we were talking about that. We were talking about how you need advocates, how you need people that's going to represent you to the board, especially when promotion time comes. And she has a great system that she uses to help people get promoted. In her case, women. And so, but the fact is that don't build fortresses around yourself. Let people in, talk to people, get to know people, build a relationship, build allies. You can't do this alone. Leadership is not alone. It's not a one man or one woman sport. It's a team sport. Law number 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. Let me give you some advice. Never, 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 ever offend a client or customer. Ever. Never, ever, ever offend. And when I mean offend, I mean purposely offend. I mean, your intention is to offend. Because sometimes I know we make mistakes, we say things, we do things, and we don't realize that that's hurting the person. I'm not talking about that type of offend. I'm talking about offending someone on purpose. Your intentions is to go and hurt this person. Never, ever do that. Ever. Not as a leader, not as a servant leader. You never do that. All right. Law number 20. Do not commit to anyone. Do not commit to anyone. Do not commit to anyone. Now, this is a law that I had to learn the hard way. And like I said, don't get stuck on words. There's some room for flexibility here. Don't overcommit yourself. I mean, you only have 24 hours in a day, and there's only so much that you can do. Don't become that kind of person to every project you're saying yes. I mean, I don't care how much you want to climb the ladder. I don't care how much you need customers. Don't commit to everything. If something is not in line with your vision or your goal, learn to say no. Learn to say no. The more things that you say no to, the more time you will have to say yes to the things that's already on your plate, and the more success you'll see. Law number 21, play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. One of the things that, like I said, don't get hung up on the words. You have to be a great listener as a leader. Leadership is all about listening, not talking. It's about listening and producing results. That's what leadership is about. So you want to listen more than you talk, because you want people to show you their talents, show you their creativity. You want to get to know their strengths, and you want to get to know their weaknesses. Why do you want to get to know their weaknesses? Because you want to provide tools and resources to them to develop their weaknesses. And their strengths, you want to use their strengths to the projects, because if there's different types of projects that you're working on, you want to pair up those projects with people with the right skill set, right? So you want to know both their strengths and their weaknesses, because if they're not, if the project and their skill sets doesn't pair up, doesn't match up, you don't want to put that person in on that project, because you're going to frustrate that person. So You want to always play to people's strengths. That's what that law means. Law number 22, use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. Law number 22, use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. Now, what does that mean? Well, one of the things that you want to always be aware of is that as a leader, we definitely don't know it all. Some of us think we know it all, but we don't. You know, when someone like a teammate or a customer is trying to give you a difference of opinion or trying to give you a different perspective on something, you have to be willing to listen. And if you do choose to go your own way and you mess up, okay, the way we're going to reach this goal, we're going to go that way. And you mess up, you got to be willing to say that I'm wrong. I was wrong. You got to be willing to say, you know what? That's a great idea. I think we'll go with that idea. Your idea. You have to be that type of leader. That's how you use the surrender tactics. You're getting to see this. You're getting to see how you can use these laws for good. Law number 23. Concentrate your forces. Concentrate your forces. What do you mean by concentrating your forces? Be clear. Be clear. Clear vision. Have a clear vision for your team. Have a clear vision for your family. Have a clear vision for your life. Have clear goals. Because when you have a clear vision, clear goals, that equals success in everything that you do. Don't be scattered. You know, don't stop going after every shiny object. You know, you want to do this project. Because you had some success over here, you want to do it here, and there. No, focus. Focus isn't focus concentration. Focus your concentration. Focus on getting to know your team. Focus on building a better culture. Focus. It's all about focus, my friends. It's all about focus. You know, stay focused on your vision. Law number 24, play the perfect courtier. Now, courtier is a beautiful word. Here's the definition. Webster. A person who attends a royal court as a companion or advisor to the king or queen. Courtier. A person who attends a royal court as a companion or an advisor to the king or queen. Play the perfect courtier. What does that mean? Be a great middleman. Be a great advisor. You remember I said that you're the servant? As a leader, you're the servant. Be that for people. Courtiers would be in back in the days, in the ancient times, they would go to the king's enemy. They would talk to them. They would talk to the king's friends. They would talk to the people that didn't love the king too much or whatever. They would be comfortable in any type of environment or talking to anyone. They were just that type of person. They were just a person that had charm, charisma. They were funny. Sometimes the fool was a courtier, you know. So be that type of person that's likable, that you can go in any environment and vibe with anyone. You know, you're not too stressed all the time. You're not too busy trying to be a leader all the time. You know, you want to be that good middleman. Law number 25, recreate yourself. Always be in the process of growing. The version of you that you are today should be a much better version of you from last year. Last year's version of you, that should be last year. You should forever be evolving, especially as a human being. You should always be reading. Should always be going to seminars. You should always be evolving, podcasts, listening to great podcasts, listening to great YouTube videos, listening to TED Talks and everything. Always trying to up your leadership game, always. You're always recreating yourself. Law number 26. Keep your hands clean. I love this. Keep your hands clean. What does this mean? Be a person of integrity. That's all. Be a person of integrity. Your word is your bond. You say you're going to deliver on this date, deliver. You say you're going to take your wife to dinner on this date, take her. You say you're going to take your husband as a wife, to the ball game, that was your treat him. Be your word. Be honest. Have people to know you as a person of integrity. That's how you keep your hands clean. Law number 27, play on people's needs to believe to create a cult-like following. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Have a compelling vision for your team. As a leader, have a compelling vision for your team, and not only have a compelling vision for your team, but incorporate their vision, their goals, their dreams into that vision. That's how you create a following. That's how you have people follow you. When they're like, man, I see where he's going. And as we're going there, I can see me manifesting my dreams and my goals as well. That's how you get people to believe. That's how you play on people's need to believe and create a cult-like following. Law number 28, enter action with boldness. Should I say more on that one? When you step into any room, you should be as confident as hell. You should just be confident. You enter a room, you should be confident. You enter a negotiation, you should be confident. You're offering a product or service. If you're doing a discovery call, you should be confident that your product will deliver the solution, the results that you've said that it will deliver. That has to be your word. You enter everything that you do with the utmost confidence. Law number 29. Plan all the way to the end. Plan all the way to the end. Those who fail to plan to fail. You have goals written down. You have a vision for your life, or a vision for your team, a vision for your family, vision for your organization. You need to plan that out. What are the steps to get there? Because your team needs to understand what those steps are. What are those steps to get there? How are we going to get there? You have to plan all the way out to the end. But as I said before in the previous law, is that you make sure you focus on milestones. You don't keep focusing on the whole plan. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Law number 30, make your accomplishments seem effortless. Oh man, I love this law because it's so true. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. You ever seen a great speaker or great dancer or great skater? Watch the Olympics. They make it look so easy, don't they? But let's take the Olympics for a second. Those athletes have been training for 4 years. They've been practicing for 4 years to make it look like that, to make it look easy. When anything you do, try to make it look easy, try to look smooth. Practice. Practice your handshake. Practice your, looking into people's eyes without staring. Practice smiling. Practice being genuinely happy every day. Practice. Practice giving that speech before you present it in front of your team, or before you do that brown bag, or before you make that discovery call. Practice. Write it down. Script it out. Know what you're going to say. Practice. Make it look easy. It'll come easy. It'll become a habit if you keep practicing it. Law number 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. Law number 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. Remember that you are the leader. You are the leader. People are following you. The responsibility, the buck stops with you. Once you make a decision, there is no other options, because you have made the decisions to go this way. You have gotten the team's input and you made the decisions to go that way. So that's where we're going. All options are closed now until but you still always remain flexible, right? Law number 32, play the people's fantasies. Same thing. Get to know people. Get to know their goals. Get to know their aspirations. Get to know their dreams. And people really love when you're genuinely, and people could feel when you're genuinely interested in them, in their careers, and how their family is doing. Their development as a leader, because we're not trying to develop followers here. We're trying to develop leaders. We want to develop leaders, and we want them to stop following us and go, establish their own leadership. So we that's what that means to play to people's fantasies. Don't get caught up in these words. Law number 33, discover each man's thumbscrew. Discover each man's thumbscrew. If you don't, thumbscrew just means weakness. Why would you want to discover each man's thumbscrew? It's like we said before. You want to understand your team's weaknesses so you can help them become stronger, so you can provide them with the resources and tools to develop that weakness or to manage that weakness. So as a leader, you have to understand your teams or your followers' weaknesses and strengths. But this one is talking about discover each man's thumbscrew. Law number 34, be royal in your fashion, act like a king to be treated like one. Again, carry yourself with the utmost confidence wherever you go. Be very confident, look confident, wear it on yourself. Be cheerful, shaking hands, a confident handshake, a confident disposition about yourself. There's an air of confidence, not an air of arrogance, but an air of confidence that surrounds you. You want to just be the leader. Be the leader and be comfortable in that position. When it's time to respond, you respond. When it's time to provide feedback. When it's time to receive feedback, be open, but do it with confidence. Be okay. It's just feedback. Be confident in everything that you do, every email that you write, every interaction with the client. Be very confident. Law number 35, master the art of timing. This is very important. As a leader, we love teaching moments, especially in the self-development space. We love teaching moments, right? Be very careful about that. Give advice when someone asks for your advice. And give advice or your 2 cents at the right time. Sometimes a teammate may come to you with a problem, or your family member may come to you with a problem, or a friend may come to you with a problem. They don't want the solution. They just want you to listen. And you have to know the difference. So be aware of timing. Law number 36, disdain things that you cannot have. Ignore them. Ignoring them is the best revenge. Disdain things that you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. I like this one because it helps me to realize that I can ignore petty problems. I can ignore petty behavior. You just have to just ignore certain things because you don't want to give that thing life. If there's a little problem that's happening in your world, in your home, sometimes you can just ignore it. Like there are times that you have to allow people, if you have children, you understand as well. There are times when you just have to ignore it. You just have to let them make some mistakes. I mean, not big, major mistakes, but you allow them to get away with certain things, certain petty stuff, like leaving the dishes in the dishwasher. You allow them to get away with it. You don't stress about every single thing. You sometimes ignore it. And then when it's time for you to address it, you address it. But you're not constantly being stressed by that. Don't let things stress you out. Law number 37, create compelling spectacles. Create compelling spectacles. Create compelling spectacles. Here's what I think when I think about that. So there are some seminars that I go to that you will be in front of, a monitor or, some posters or whatever. But there are some seminars that I go to, that's totally amazing. You have the lights, you have the band, you have that ice smoke, whatever that smoke thing is. You got people cheering, jumping up and down. It is like a rock concert in there. You get the energy you feel in there. It is awesome. And as a leader, you want to emulate that. You want people to say, man, I love working with Glastinne, or I love working with Jose, or I love working with Isaiah, or I love working with Veronica. You want people to say, that Ashley is the best leader in the world. I love working with her. It's fun. We have happy hours. When we're not, even while we're working, it's just fun. It's just a fun environment. It's a laid back environment. And, I get to speak, and my opinion counts. How I see things, that creativity, that quirky creativity that I have, it's welcomed in this environment. So you want to have, that's how you create compelling spectacles. Law number 38, think as you like, but behave like others. Man, This is one for all of us as leaders. Think as you like, but behave as others. Learn to chill. Go with the flow. Go with the flow. You don't have to be all stuck up all the time. Chill. Chill. I know you have your ways of seeing life, and it seems that's your truth, but you don't have to impose that on people. Learn to chill out. Learn to, just relax. Someone has an opinion that conflicts with yours, so what? Relax. That's all that's saying. Law number 39. Sip up waters to catch a fish. What does that mean? Well, that means that you have to be very, don't let people ruffle your feathers. That's one of the things that you really don't want to ever do. Let people rustle your feathers. You want to stay calm in every situation, because that's the only way that you stir up the waters. What does it say again? Stir up the waters to catch a fish. You want to be strategic about everything that you do. You want to have that reputation that you stay calm when everybody else is falling apart and when everybody else is going crazy, that you are good. You want that type of reputation. Trust me. And sometimes people get agitated when you're that calm. Believe me, I know, because I've been in that situation. And when they do get agitated like that, you have your cheerleaders come out of the woodworks and say, hey, Glastinne is listening to you and you're disrespecting him by yelling. I think that's very disrespectful, because he's just sitting there listening to you. Been listening to you for an hour, but you're like all over him. Like you guys are having an argument, and you have people come and defend you. That's how you stir up the waters to catch a fish. Law number 40, despise a free lunch. Despise a free lunch. Hey, don't be afraid to pay for great information. As a leader, we're always developing ourselves. Don't be afraid to pay for great information. I mean, everyone has their opinion. Everyone has a solution. But don't go to your neighbor when you want information about how to manage your finances, unless he's a financial advisor. But don't go to your best friend when you want, relationship. When you want to counseling for your marriage. Go to a counselor. Go to a marriage counselor. Don't ever take stock in free information. Go and pay for great information, experts, and that will change the game for you, because it changed the game for me. When you're talking to people that's experts that can help you. Law number 41, avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. I love this. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. What does that mean? Be you, be unique. Be unique. You don't have to be anybody else. Just be unique. Be you. Be you. Be you. I mean, there are times when, you learn from a mentor and you will emulate that mentor, but always be that type of person that's trying to bring their own uniqueness out into the public. Always. Always be you. Be you. Always be you. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. I love that one. I love that one. Law number 42, strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. You know, one of the plagues that's in the court, and especially when you talk about the office or whatever, it's about gossiping. Man, that is not cool. You know, you have to nip that in the bud. As a leader, you get a situation where there's gossip, you got to nip that in the bud, because if you don't, everybody else will start. You will have a culture of gossipers. But when you nip that stuff in the bud, all those sympathizers stop. Once that person that was leading that, orchestrating that whole gossip thing, you get that person right, it stops. Law number 43, work on the hearts and the minds of others. Work on the hearts and the minds of others. Work on their hearts. Genuinely care about people. Try to understand where they're coming from, where they come from, because sometimes there are people that work for you. The only family that they have is you, is the team. They don't have anybody. They go home into an empty space. I used to be that guy, so I know. And how do you work on their minds? You find out their weaknesses and try to help them. You offer solutions, you offer tools, you offer resources, training, software, whatever you have to do to get their skills up. And people will appreciate you so much because they know you care. Law number 44, disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. I love this one. You want to understand people's values. You want to understand their goals. You want to understand their dreams, because what you're trying to assess are the commonalities between their dreams and goals and your dreams and goals, or the organization's dreams and goals. You want everyone to be a part of this thing. I think is one of my favorite books is Zappos. And this book is a real great book when you're talking about culture and delivering. It's called Delivering Happiness, and I really it's by Tony Hsieh, and he's just the way he builds Zappos was just on point. Phenomenal book. And this book is all about the 44th law: disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. You just connect with people in a so much deeper way when you understand them. Law number 45: preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. Preach the need for change. And I want to go into the book on this one because this one is good. This one is good. You're gonna like this one. Law number 45. And I think Robert Greene does a great job explaining this. And so I wanted to read it straight from the book. He says, everyone understands the need for change in the abstract, but the day-to-day level people are creatures of habit. Too much innovation is traumatic and will lead to revolt. If you are new to a position of power or an outsider trying to build a power base, make a show of the respecting the old way of doing things. If change is necessary, make it feel like a gentle improvement on the past. That's so awesome. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. That law number 45. Every leader should just read this over and over and over again, because I know change is important, but the way you implement change is more important. Especially people. People don't want to change. They love the old way. It works. But as leaders, we have come to bring change. So the way we deliver that change or package that change is way more important than the change itself. Law number 46, never appear too perfect. Never appear too perfect. I love this law because you don't want to be the person that the know-it-all person, the person that always knows it all, the person that never makes a mistake, the person that's at work every single day and gets in early, leaves late, and never makes a mistake, and you never own up. You're going to make mistakes, but you never own up to it. You want to appear perfect. I think the leaders that try to appear perfect, they're the ones that appear the most with the most. They're the ones that appear imperfect. They're the ones that appear more human, and it makes people upset because they're trying to build this persona that they're perfect, and everybody knows that they're not because they're making constant mistakes. But when you're a leader, that you accept your mistakes and that you have an open door policy as far as criticism is concerned, constructive criticism is concerned. I mean, you're that type of person that can be like, hey, you know what? I was wrong. That's my bad. That's on me. People love that. People love that. Law number 47, do not go past the mark you aim for. In victory, learn when to stop. I love this law. Law number 47, do not go past the mark you aim for. In victory, learn to stop. Celebrate. You got to learn to celebrate the wins. Take time to celebrate your team. Don't just win and go to the next project. That's going to frustrate your team. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. It doesn't work. Even with yourself, you win, you reach a milestone in your goals and your visions. Celebrate. Take some time. Take an hour. Get yourself a soft drink. Do something. Celebrate that win. Celebrate the win for a team. You made your first $100,000, or for sale for this product or for this service. Celebrate that. Celebrate with your team. Take your team out to dinner. Take them out for some drinks. Celebrate. Stop. Relax. Just a little bit. And then we could start working tomorrow. But today, we won. We're going to celebrate. Break out the champagne. Now, law number 48. I love this one. Assume formlessness. Law number 48. Assume formlessness. I think it was Bruce Lee that said, you must be shapeless and formless like water, my friend. Because water takes the shape of whatever it goes into, right? You want to be that type of leader. You want to be that type of leader that's understanding. You want to be that type of leader that's compassionate. You want to be that type of leader that's always changing and evolving. You're formless. You're flexible. I want to read this to you. It says, by taking a shape, by having a visible plan, you open yourself up to attack. You don't ever want to be too rigid. Instead of taking a form for your enemy to grasp, keep yourself adaptable and on the move. Accept the fact that nothing is certain and no law is fixed. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Nothing is certain and no law is fixed. These are not fixed laws. Always understand that. These are not fixed laws. These 48 powers, these were written by a man. These are from his mind. He's very flexible in them. Very smart man, Robert Greene, very smart, very intelligent, but these are not laws that are fixed. You know, you can use these laws for good. The best way to protect yourself is to be a fluid and formless as water. Never bet on stability or lasting order. Everything changes. Always know that it's good to be flexible. Like at my job being a defense contractor, I'm always ready for change. I'm always ready for a contract to end and go on to move on to the next contract. I remain flexible. As leaders, we always need to remain flexible because we don't know when people are going to move on and we need to hire someone else. You just don't want that rigidity. You know, the tree that goes through the hurricane is a tree that bends, that goes with the flow. And so you always want to go with the flow. On that note, I want to thank you all for listening. This has been my version of the 48 laws of power for leaders. And I'd like to just thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.